Hello guys, welcome to StudyIQ and my name is Amit Sani and I welcome you in this daily Hindu analysis video. In the morning these videos come, in the evening PIB videos come, and both in Hindi and English you will get these videos. And every day the questions that I'm discussing, the details I'm discussing, the facts we are getting in these lessons, extremely important these things are for the examination that is on the 2nd of June, and other examinations also we will be covered by these questions and the details, because these are the most reliable sources. The Hindu paper, Indian Express paper, the PIB informations, these are the basic current affairs which are asked in the examination. And the knowledge that you are getting, that is very important. This knowledge will never let you depress in any way, and always it is going to support in your difficult times, because knowledge is the best friend, knowledge is the best guru for you. And every time you will need confidence, but that confidence would come from your own knowledge. So knowledge gaining is not a simple process, it's a very difficult process, one of the most difficult process in the life, but that you are doing. That is why it's a very difficult time. Uncertainty is there, but certainly you are reading a lot, you are learning a lot, and this knowledge is making you really great a scholar, and that's the quality that sets you apart from the crowd. So you are not losing anything here. If you are failing after 1 year, you are not losing anything, because in any field you are going, you will go with this particular knowledge, and this knowledge, this particular attitude, and this approach of problem identification and solution giving thing, that is the best counted thing in life. So that's why you're never losing anything here. These are the numbers there you can call, and you can ask for these pen drive courses by StudyIQ. This is the website address, and all the queries, all the questions regarding these courses, or any kind of question, if it is there, then you can address there. MCQs that I gave to you yesterday: who is elected as FIFA Council member from India? It's Praful Patel. He is the president of AIFF, All India Football Federation, and this is the first time that it has happened for India. And this information we had discussed in detail yesterday. Okay, so refer to yesterday's video. Next question is regarding the Pseudomonas putida. You see, information appeared yesterday regarding Pseudomonas putida. It's a soil bacterium. It's a gram-negative rod-shaped bacteria. That's correct. You see, gram positive and gram negative, these are two important categories according to the gram staining method. It's a method of giving color to these bacteria and their cell walls. Gram positive, they would give violet color, and gram negative, they would not give any kind of color. So this is based on this particular method. Otherwise, normally gram negative bacteria are pathogenic, normally, not always. And this particular bacteria is also gram negative, but it is not pathogenic to humans. So this is wrong. This is correct, and second one is again correct, because it is the first patented organism in the world. And Mr. Chakravarti, who got its patent, and after a long fight he won this particular battle, and he was the chief scientist associated with this. And you see why this was in news, because it was found that different from other bacterias, this bacteria Pseudomonas putida, it prefers aromatic compounds before glucose. Normally bacteria, they feed on glucose and other carbohydrates, but this putida that feeds on the aromatic hydrocarbons, which are normally pollutants in our environment. So it is a great method of bioremediation. What is bioremediation? When we are using biological organisms for the remedy of the pollutants. Okay, they may feed on them, they may degrade them, means it's a organic compound as a pollutant, then this bacteria is going to feed on that, it is going to degrade that, it is going to dissolve that. So this is how this bacteria is going to be very helpful for us, and that's important. So 1 and 2 is the correct answer. Third one is wrong, because it is not an opportunistic pathogenic bacteria for humans. Other species like Pseudomonas aeruginosa, that is actually pathogenic for us, and bioremediation is the main issue here. Bioremediation question that appeared in 2017 prelims also. Okay, so it's a very important thing in these days, and Mr. Anand Mohan Chakravarti was the scientist associated with that. So anywhere there is an association of any Indian for any internationally important thing, then you must remember all the facts regarding that. Certainly this question may be asked. Okay, any kind of body, any kind of organization, if any person is chairing that body, or any person is chiefly associated with that particular process, then that question becomes very, very important for UPSC. Next, NFHS, a family health survey, National Family Health Survey. It's a large-scale, multi-round survey. That's correct. Conducted in a representative sample of households. That's perfectly right. And throughout India, that's again okay. But it is not an annual survey. In 1992, 1993, it was started, and only 3 rounds are there till now. And the Government of India, as a Ministry of Health from it, designated the IIPS Institute as the nodal agency, and it is giving its technical assistance to this program, and all the execution part, all the data dissemination, all the data collection, everything is the responsibility of this nodal agency IIPS, which is there in Mumbai. So 1 and 3 is the correct answer, second is wrong here. You can see each successive round of the NFHS had 2 specific goals: to provide essential data on health and family welfare needed by the Ministry of Health, and to provide information on important emerging health and family welfare issues. Okay, and important issues like reproductive health, nutrition, anemia, utilization and quality of health, all these things, they are taken as a report from household surveys. Okay, and only 3 have been there till now, since it started in 1992. Okay, and it also collaborated with a number of field organizations for all these processes. And other collaborations are also there, like USAID, DFAID, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, UNICEF, and UNFPA and Government of India. Everything, they all are providing their support to it. Next, United Nations General Assembly declared 4th of April each year as the International Day for Mine Awareness and Assistance in Mine Action. That is okay, and it becomes much more important this year after the Meghalaya incident of rat hole mining. Okay, so that is why these important details will be crucial this year. United Nations promotes SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals: safe ground, safe home. It's not earth, it's home. So the theme that is given here, it is wrong. Only one is the correct answer here. You can see the theme is safe ground, safe home. Highlights the fact that all people have the right to live in security and not fear their next step, because it is about the mining, and mainly the tribal communities and the people who are living in the remote areas, villagers, they are chiefly affected with this particular process, and they are losing their lives many times, as we saw in incidents in China and Tibet area, in Xinjiang province, in India, in Meghalaya. In many areas we see they are troubled because of the mining processes, mainly the disease like silicosis and all, and where we saw all men from a particular village in South India that is devastated because of the silicosis disease, and the process is associated with the mining sector. So support should be there for these people. And last year the district mineral policy also came, and mineral authorities were created, and these people got important mention there also. Okay, so it is regarding that, and United Nations came up with a mine action strategy for 6 to 10 year, and it was regarding that reduction of death and injury should be at least 50% less from now, and mitigate the risk to community livelihood, and expand freedom of movement for at least 80% of the most seriously affected communities, and all the other important goals which are associated with this process, because these are the problems and we need solutions for that. Okay, so this was the mine action strategy, MAS. They may ask you about what is UNMAS, and 2006 to 10, this was the strategy, but the goals which came out of this particular plan, those were important. These are the words that I found today, and try them into sentences. Now the article which we are going to discuss here, you see, big articles are not important. One is political, one is regarding Japan. So for our exam it is not important. Only the Riva age that is starting means when the next king is taking reigns there, then the era starts in Japan. So the change of era is happening. That's a convention there in Japan, so it is specifically related with Japan, and Japan is going through a lot of changes, a lot of changes in their foreign policies happening, and they are coming closer to China, and a lot of domestic goals are there. Disasters have been always there, and the unemployment issue, aging population issues are there. And now the issue is that when the last king, he is abdicating its throne, and now the new Riva king's era is going to start, so we would see a change in Japan. So how it is going to be, so that is not important for us from the exam point of view, so we will not waste time on that. Now regarding the investment, capital investment, month of March hit a high of $4.89 billion, the biggest foreign inflow into Indian stocks since February 2022. And it was a sudden rise in month of March, and several factors were there. Some ongoing changes in the international scenario, like Western central banks, they have turned dovish. Both the Federal Reserve and European Central Bank, for instance, have promised to keep interest rates low for longer. Means many times we hear about the Fed rates, means the Federal Bank of United States. When it raises its interest rate, then what happens? Then the investors, they all will move towards America, because it's more a reliable place to invest and a bigger place for the international exposure. So that is the reason whenever Fed rates are on a higher side, then the investments and their outflows from India would happen, and we would be out of dollars here, because again we need to pay them their share, whatever they had invested here. So it becomes a problem for countries like India. But right now what is going on in the Western banks and the Fed rates, the interest rates are very low, and that is why they are more keen towards country like India, where opportunities are very huge but instabilities matter. So maybe it's a change in the political situation and the election time. Maybe the writer says that maybe they are confident about a particular party in India that would come into power, so that is why they are investing in India. And the investments, they got a sudden boost here. You see the GDP numbers, as it says that we are growing more than China here. China's growth has been under 6%, and ours is more than 7%. So consistently we are a better performer. But this GDP data, they're reliable or not, that's a different debate. The GDP methodology, there was a change in 2015, that's a different debate. But the investments, they are coming after a long period of time. Since February 2012, it is the highest in the month of March. Okay, so that's very, very important. Now the writer says that foreign capital is actually very nimble. It's a very much thing that is full of speculations, and things can change overnight, and investors, they are very smart. They will always look for the better opportunities. So it's not necessary that they would remain here forever. So we have to retain investors here, and for that long pending reforms in the labor sector, in the land markets are needed, and long-term growth trajectory should be established in India, and many things we need to improve in this summer. Macroeconomic management we have to do, and how that would be possible? It would be possible by the cooperation between government and RBI. Things should not go like that as they are going in the recent past, where there is a lot of conflict between RBI and government. First the Raghuram Rajan, he resigned, then the Urjit Patel resigned, demonetization issues and all kinds of things were there between RBI and government. So this confusion should not stay there, otherwise these reforms would be impossible, and investors, they would not be here for a longer period of time. And we need to see for the challenges like high fiscal deficit is a challenge. More than 70% is the total deficit of center plus states, so that's a thing to worry. And disruptive outflow of foreign capital, that's again a thing that changes very soon. So we need to retain these investors. So these challenges we have to face here. Next article is regarding the climate change issue and the summers which are there. You see, SkyMet has said that it is going to be the El Nino year. El Nino La Nina concepts I explained to you in my PIB lesson on Saturday. If you have not watched that lesson, please go and watch that. And that's a simple phenomena. El Nino and La Nina. La Nina is favorable for us. El Nino is not favorable for us. When El Nino is there, then the monsoon is seen to be very weak. Okay, and you know this thing that our agriculture most of the times is dependent on monsoon. So the monsoon vagaries. This phenomena is very much painful for Indian farmers. If this time it is going to be the El Nino year, then nothing can stop this particular agrarian crisis from rising. And already many farmers are committing suicides and all, and it's a very tragic and painful condition. Although these informations are not appearing in the media because of the coverage of the election and their own gains of the TRPs, so they are not showing the actual situation, but things are really very concerning in the areas like Vidarbha, Marathwada, and the central region of India, western part of India, and sometimes eastern part of India also. You see, last year it was the erratic monsoon, and last year it was seen that Kerala was flooded, and the western part and the eastern part of India, they were struggling to get the sufficient amount of water. So this year also we have been observing that major reservoirs, which are there 91 in number and having 67% of the capacity of the total water retaining capacity of ours, then there is a steep decline in that reservoir also. Around 25 to 30% is the present capacity of these major reservoirs, and the whole 6 months of summers they are pending. So how we are going to manage this situation, this is really concerning. Okay, and when we had to start water trains to Maharashtra 2-3 years back, these kind of situations they may appear. So last year also it was a erratic monsoon condition and imbalanced water management, water precipitation issues were there. And this time, if it is going to be an El Nino year, so it's a huge challenge. And El Nino year, less monsoon means more heat and more heat waves. This is the election year. People will stand in the queues for more than 1.5 months because they have given a long schedule of around 45 days, and people may die here out of this heat. So districts should come with important strategies, as they have not come till now. Summers are started, and recently we saw heat wave like conditions in the peninsular part of India, and those are concerning, and this is the signs of very drastic climate change. Last 4 years have been consecutively historically warmer, okay, and therefore were the warmest year in the known history to humans, and on an average they were having very high temperatures and unusual conditions we observed all over the earth. So these kind of situations are always bringing deaths, problems for the poorest people, and mainly in the country like India. So that is why it's a very distressing thing, and we need to take care here. NGO's role, civil society's role will be very important, because this year whole system and all these administrative setups, they all are busy with the elections, and this is going to be the time of April, May mainly. These 2 months will be a real challenge. Okay, so that is why they say that decentralized planning and all mitigation strategies, they should come out on the district level also. Okay, and it is also important for the high turnout of the voters also. If it is going to be a very severe heat wave, then why people would come out of their houses and just to vote? So that is again going to be against our aspirations. And National Commission for Farmers in 2004 only, they suggested that there should be mandatory conditions for the rainwater harvesting and aquifer recharges. Both things are not applicable till now on with a mandatory basis. So we have to implement all these things. just for the sake of, at least for the sake of small farmers. Okay, because income support schemes, they will not work much. These kind of measures are really gonna change the condition of the small farmers, landless farmers. Next information is regarding the garbage management, solid waste management. The report says that less than 60% of the waste is collected and only 15% of the urban waste is processed. And we have seen these dump sites all around these major metropolitan cities, and they are sites of a lot of methane production, because they are rotting like anything. There is no management, and anywhere these legitimate contractors, they would dump these garbage piles, and anywhere you would see smelly conditions around the cities, or maybe inside the cities, and people are choking. All the cows are feeding in that garbage, the holy cow. You see, we hailed a lot of times that cow should be protected. Cow, 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 everywhere cow. In the parliament it was cow. And what is the condition of cow today? Which minister you see today who is talking about the cows? Nobody is talking about cows today, and they all are roaming on the streets. They are getting killed by vehicles. Maybe they are hitting people, and recently we saw many incidents. They are being very harmful for the crops. And in villages, in the northern part of India, we saw in villages people are very much troubled because of the stray cows. So they raised this matter as a national important matter, and they talked everything about cows, but they did not give any kind of plan for the better management and taking care of these cows. And now they are dependent on these piles of garbages. So this is our reality, this is our real standards, and the hypocrisy of our particular political class. And it is not only the hypocrisy of the political class, it is actually the foolishness of Indians who are hailing these leaders who are making fool out of us. They are not talking about the real issues, and it is all a demagoguery that is going on, and that gives support to these unnecessary ways that they are proposing. And when they are ignoring these real issues, and they are not coming out with real solutions for the real problems, and even the problems that they are raising, they raise the cow problem, and they did not come with a real solution for that. And we saw when pressure comes, they would push them into hospitals and school and colleges. This is the reality of 21st century's India. So we all need to be aware about that situation. And you see, there must be some cesses and taxes. There can be some of them regarding the garbage management, and we should know the importance of recycling and segregation. That is very important. We need a lot of investment here. You see, we can arrange lakhs of crores of rupees for the bullet train like unnecessary concepts here. Why I am saying it, this is unnecessary, because we are planning to raise the domestic airline industry, to take it to the next level. We have come up with the regional connectivity scheme, the Udan scheme, and we are incentivizing the sector, but it is anyhow progressing with a slow pace. But you see, in this time when we are promoting this industry, why we are coming out with bullet train like concepts? What is the reason, and what kind of solutions it is going to provide? It will run on the ground, it will need a lot of investment. And you see, it is no better than the airline services. If you are planning to induct common people into airline industry, and they should travel more by airlines, then what is the meaning of bullet train today, where we are struggling a lot with these very basic problems? Japan is not struggling with the garbage management issues. We are struggling way more than that. So Japan can afford bullet trains, but we today should invest more in these technologies. So the meaning is that when we can arrange lakhs of crores of rupees for the bullet train, why we are not managing money for the garbage management? That is the basic thing. And you can set a parallel with your feeding with this garbage management, because it is much more dangerous here. And we are not actually serious about this thing. Recently we banned the single-use plastic, and we brought some initiative regarding the nitrogen pollution and all. These are good steps, and these are appreciable moves. But you see, the condition of solid waste management is really horrible in India. And you go to any city, that is really a spoiler. We are promoting tourism, but what tourists observe here, it is all pile of garbages here. So why not we are investing here in these technologies? We should come up with great plans and investments in all the cities of India. Maybe we are not able to take these things to villages, but we can afford in all the cities of India, and we should afford these things. We can put these taxes, cesses for that, and we can take grants or any kind of soft loans for that, and agencies would be happy to give that, because it is in the consonance of sustainable development goals, and we need these kind of strategies for our international claims also. That's why this becoming very important. And you see, methane like gases, they are global warming gases. So again, it's a legitimate point that we work in this area, and there should be very hard punishments for these contractors who are putting these garbages anywhere around the city or in the city. They are putting anywhere these dumps, because these people are earning from that. Then there must be very severe punishments, and this nexus of corruption, politicians and contractors and the criminals, that is the real problem behind that, because it is not a small industry. Garbage industry is one of the biggest in this world. That's a different thing, that we are not able to manage that in our country, but certainly it is a huge thing. Next article is regarding the ongoing situation in India. The election season is going on, and we see all kinds of flouting of rules. Model code of conduct is going on, but situation has become like that they do not care about anything. Anything means anything, and there are serious questions and allegations on the working of election commission. You see, when they said that they should not politicize the matter of the soldiers and all, and the security issues, and whatever we are doing on our borders and all, these things should not be there in our political campaigns. But you see, all around Delhi, I see there are posters that घर में घुसकर वार and फिर से कोई सरकार, ये these kind of things. These are problematic things. Means openly they have now become totally open and allowing anything in the campaigning. Means in the name of campaigning, they are totally politicizing the security issues, about which they were saying that we are not doing anything like that, and allegations were there on the all parties. And you see, all are committing this huge mistake in our democracy. And you see, if we talk about the politicians are at mistakes. Institutions are also under a lot of focus, because if we talk about election commission, how these things can be allowed, the kind of statements some people are making in the politics, that is really disturbing. And they are sitting on very high positions. They are rulers actually, in a sense. But you see, democracy, when it becomes mobocracy, that's a real problem. Mobs and the mass movements, you see, these things were started with the Gandhi's important initiatives, like in 1920s it was Asahayog Andolan, non-cooperation movement. So the masses started moving in that age, and Gandhi was the leader. He could attract masses, but you see, it was not his aim to attract masses and to take them towards a particular goal. He always said that in this condition, it is very necessary that I can make them understand this thing collectively, that fighting is not the way, and you cannot win Britishers by fighting with the lathis and your other important strategies. This is the way of peace. This is the way of satyagrah that would be workable, because you cannot beat Britishers today with their own way. They are much more advanced. So his ways were never idealistic. His ways were really practical. He was really a very practical person. But it's a misconception about Gandhi among people that he was an ideal person. No, he was a very practical person. He knew about the facts. He talked about facts, and he lived these facts, and that is why he always said, my life is a message. I do not want to say anything about my life. It's not a message. My life, the way I would live it, that would be a message, and that can be the most truthful thing about our life, because whatever you do, whatever, how the way you live your life, that is your message, that is your real self. So when that kind of an important person and a truthful person says that mobs are not the way, ultimate aim is the enlightened anarchy. Means anarchy means it's not like that a total mismanagement. An enlightened anarchy means when all people are aware, all people are educated, all people are enlightened, all people can make their own good decisions, and all people can understand the situation of economy, country, politics, everything, and all people are responsible citizens. So whenever there is a need to go together, they can decide about that. Whenever there is a need that they should progress at their own, then they understand this thing. So that is the enlightened gentry and enlightened citizens, and that would be the condition where very less government would be needed. Okay, so enlightened anarchy is our goal, and that should be goal for every society, every country. But are we moving towards that? No, we are moving towards a situation where more and more support is needed for the poor and the rich class. They are dealing these poor, they are sucking their bloods through the systematic way. Means there is a nexus between the these corporators and the politicians, and they are making policies according to that. You see, all the airports, they are given to a private corporate house, and the important defense deals are also going to private owners these days. And we are trying to prove here that government agencies, they are not capable, they do not have that capacity. In the case of HAL and Reliance, we have seen, and we are trying to prove that these are better managers, these are better people, where these agencies are showing their capabilities. You talk about ISRO, you talk about HAL, you talk about all these important PSUs and all, who are performing very well. Maybe some troubles are there, but you should give them support, because these are state-owned bodies. But we are moving towards totally a particular mismanaged and a biased capitalism. It's not a perfect capitalism. It's not a fair deal for all the players. It is biased for some players. Okay, some names are there that you hear most of the times, whether it is Reliance, whether it is Adani, or these kind of important corporate players, and that's all open. There is no hidden truth about that. So that means there is a position where state-owned entities, they are becoming much more weak, and we are supporting this particular capitalism that has its own characteristics, where allegations are there that it's not fair to all. So in this kind of situation, mobs are supporting these rule makers who are making rules which are not appropriate, which are not equal. So equality is missing, poor is becoming much more poorer, agrarian crisis is not getting controlled, and it is out of the hands, and all the platforms, all important position holding people, they are talking about agrarian crisis. We need to move towards a situation, we need to improve that, we need to take care, we need to that, we need to do that, we need to do that. But actually these are the people who are having ability to do something, but they are only talking, they are not doing something like that. Okay, whatever they say, they are talking to people about that. Okay, and nothing is gonna change with that process, because things will change when they will act, when they will put mandatory conditions on that, the way we saw in the Farmers Commission recommendations. When they will act, then things will change, because things were given as a proposal by important commissions and after important reports and observations. But if you are not implementing those recommendations, that means you do not want to do anything. Because first you see problems, then you establish committees, then the report comes, and then important proposals are there, and 10-15 years are gone, and nobody is ready to implement anything. That means they do not want to do anything like that, and they just want to talk here. So this is the thing that is apparent, and that is apparently seen. So the writer says, in these kind of times, if Gandhi would have been there, then it would have been a very problematic situation for the leaders which are there today, who are involved in this demagoguery, and there is no truth in their talks. It would have been a very difficult time for these people, because he would have asked for truth, he would have asked for the decentralized ways, he would have asked for the balance a particular neutral life and an important support for the poorest ones. But that is missing. What we only hear when things are out of the limits, they have crossed all kinds of limits, whether it's poverty, whether it's agrarian crisis. Then after elections come and we propose great income support schemes, and it is true about all the parties, not just one party. All the parties are doing that. So that's very, very unfortunate. And you see, the real problem today is that we do not have alternatives. People are bound to choose people from these people only, who all have become one, and they all behave like each other. They are no different from each other. And this nexus we see, that is totally apparent between these corporate houses and the politicians. And we see progress at their end when we do not see any kind of progress. There is actually a decline in the condition of the poor. So this kind of India would have never been imagined by Gandhi. And today the situation is that mobocracy is ruling here. People are getting killed, and mobs are deciding their fate. But Gandhi's mobs were not mobs. They were masses, and they were made enlightened by Gandhi and his ways, his learnings, his knowledge. But today these mobs, they are not getting any kind of knowledge. They are just being provoked. These are provoked masses with high energy and with these slogans for whom nobody knows, because the people who are standing in these rallies and all these mobs are there. They are not getting anything. Their conditions are not improving. Whose conditions are improving? Political classes and the important entrepreneurs. So that is the situation where Gandhi would have been very, very uncomfortable. So it's very fortunate condition for today's political class that Gandhi like leaders are not there. Otherwise it would have been very difficult for them. So we do not need mass leaders. The writer says we do not need mass leaders here. We need moral leaders today. Morality is missing, totally missing, and the intellectual crisis that is going on. More than 70% of India is poor, and the people who are educated among these 70%, rarely people are having a progressive thinking. Rarely people are out of these issues of caste and regional issues and religion issues. Rarely people are out of that thing. Most of the people, they can easily be provoked out of the issues of caste, religion, and mandir masjid, and sometimes issues that they do not know about anything. If you talk about the bilateral relations or the international relations, do these less educated people or these naive people, do they know about these sensitive issues? But they give all kinds of support, and that is easily gained by political class by provoking emotions. So that is the problem, and that is why we need morally responsible people who would care more about this country, less about their political existence. But we see out of the lust for their political existence, they have crossed all kinds of limits, and we should not be feel afraid in pointing these very, very dangerous things which are actually gonna give very negative consequences to our democracy. Okay, so this is all for today, and this is the Facebook group where I upload these PDFs and the questions that I promised to you yesterday. Maybe tomorrow evening by the late night, or maybe tomorrow morning or tomorrow evening, I will upload them, because time is a very big problem. Okay, so thanks a lot. Keep watching. It was Amit Sen.